Each emotion has a title, an award of recognition in the school yearbook for the harbinger of action. Joy is the most stirring. Anger is the most reckless. Sadness is the most deprecating, but the most powerful is fear. Fear is frantic, fervent, a failure to face the fright. Fear is the most adaptable, can turn the tides, switch to anger in an instant, no protection from the sheen that coats them with misplaced hate. A wave of disgust that he never deserved to endure. Chains turned to guns. He wasn't old enough to plead. Fear is the most unpredictable. You never know when it will strike down from its throne and strike next. Tried to prevent it, was cemented. Were tormented, wasn't intended. Vocal discontent, but they won't acknowledge the movement. Started years ago, action was slow. MLK helped it to grow and prove what we all know. Fear is an excuse to destroy beauty, dethrone terror, and let justice reign in its place.
My name is Jonathan, and this is my collage. In the middle of it is a painting of Martin Luther King, and behind him is a painting of the U.S. flag. The materials I used for this painting were stars, curly hair, paint, and canvas. And at the top of my project, it says Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because that is his full name. I also added words that describe him: creative, brilliant, inspiring, respectful, intelligent, outgoing, kind, hopeful, admire, and honorable. And I also have a picture of a note he wrote to his friend Joan Davis. And as you can see, there is his note where the words are. And around the board, I have construction paper that I glued on there for a border for my design. And I also have words at the bottom to describe him: thoughtful, courageous, and achieved. And I also put his children's names on the bottom too. Yolanda King is his daughter, Bernice King is his daughter, Dexter Scott King is his son, and Martin Luther King III is his son. I also put on the board at the bottom, I put yarn and cloth to make that background. And I also have in the middle of it something that says strong together. And as you can see on the picture, it is a painting of Martin Luther King in the picture. And I also have something I found inside of a newspaper that goes along with Martin Luther King on it that says, "We the people have the power to build a better future." And this is the second part called MLK 2. And at the top right corner, it shows his kids' names. And the order that it's in is from the youngest to oldest. Yolanda King is his daughter. Dexter Scott King is his son. Martin Luther King III is his son. And Bernice King is his daughter. And at the top of that, I have a picture of Martin Luther King that I found inside of the magazine. And I also have in black the college he went to, which is Morehouse. And I also have a painting of the BLM sign. And the words that I used to describe it were brave, black, protest, and racist. And I also have on the side something I found inside of a magazine that says how long to overcome. And I also have a picture of the event that happened at the Capitol that says, that is up on the top corner. And it says, "But then things got really bad." And I also have a picture of me and my cousin when we were going to give out care packets to people. And I also have something else on here that is a speech from Martin Luther King. And it says, I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And on that it says Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream speech. And the day that he did the speech was August 26, 1963.
We have to experience a positive attitude. The more we grow, the bigger we expand. We understand the positive to be negative. We are like kids trying to tame a lion. The kids that the past gen rely on to be equal, united, all as one. Equally together and not be judged. We are divided, different occasions. We need to speak out and speak our mind. Hide behind closed door or door rooms, less equality will be served. An educated man, the creator of I Have a Dream speech, the same man who wished equality for everyone, the same man who wished a non-racism nation, the same man who worked hard for equality, Martin Luther King Jr., an impact on American history, tragic events occurring 2020 to 2021, being compared shows no equality, hot like a pot, better yet, an old kettle.
My name is Daniel, and the name of my collage is MLK. So my collage is comparing what Martin Luther King fought for to 2020. I painted the background with the green color, and I used yarn to spell his name. And I did 3 pictures of him and 2 quotes that impact me. And I was basically comparing it to George Floyd's death and what happened in 2021 and all the BLM protests. And the ends in the middle represent Martin Luther King's dream for all of us to work as a team that we could come together. And I used the little paper ball as just like decoration. And the picture in black and brown and white, I painted that.
A cycle of fear. You feared me, and I feared you. A cycle of fight. You fought me, and I fought back. A cycle of lies. I was lied to about you, and you were lied to about me. A cycle of pain that you inflicted and we endured. The cycles that we start are the ones that last lifetimes. So let us end the cycles of fear, hate, and pain and begin cycles of calmness, love, and happiness.
In the middle of my collage, there's a picture of Martin Luther King. I outlined him in the black hair as a border. I have pictures of the BML protests and some pictures of the civil rights protests near the bottom of the poster. I have more photos of protests and quotes around the whole board. And some of the quotes are, "Be the peace you wish to see in the world." That's from Martin Luther. "To ignore evil is to become accomplice to it." That's also from MLK. "We must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools." That's from Martin Luther King as well. And "All great achievements require time." That's from Maya Angelou. I thought that fit the theme. I have "We shall overcome" on the board because that's what my mom usually says whenever we see anything troubling on the news relating to Black Lives Matter. I drew some posters from also the civil rights and Black Lives Matter movements. It's a BML poster, a "No Justice, No Peace poster and Equality Now poster. I have a quote that says, "Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." That's from Martin Luther King. I have a Black Lives Matter picture on there as well. And at the back of my poster, I used the tissue paper we were given to color it instead of paint. And I used burlap as the back for one of my protest pictures. That's all. Thank you.
All right, another brother gone. Florida, 2012. A black man offers a white man candy. The white man shoots. Bang. Another brother gone. Baltimore, 2015. A black man is detained by police. He is held improperly and thrown into a van. He dies at the hospital. His heart stops. Another brother gone. Minneapolis, 2020. A black man is pulled out of his car. He is detained and thrown onto the ground. He screams and cries for his mother in pain and agony. As an officer places his bony knee on his neck, he can no longer breathe and his heart finally stops. Another brother gone. As a black teen writes this poem, he thinks, if an officer detains me, will I be shaking in fear and crying for my mother? Will he murder me for just complying? Will I be reported on the news for millions of people to see? Will people say my name? I guess only time will tell if I'll just be another brother gone.
Hello everybody. Basically, my collage it's a world, and around the world it's different symbols of peace. Even though Martin Luther King did focus on peace in America, I honestly do believe that he will also be for peace around the world. And he was extremely adamant about non-violent protests. So that's what my collage is about.
Together as brothers, we march forward. Apart as fools, we fall back. Together as brothers, we thrive. Apart as fools, we barely survive. Together as brothers, we win. Apart as fools, some win and some lose. Together as brothers, we live. Apart as fools, we die.
Hello, my name is MLK. My collage is named MLK and ADOS. Now, for context, ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slavery. Now, as you can see on my collage, it shows a pathway from one point to another point. From point one, it starts with showing a group of Black people resembling the group ADOS with a picture of MLK and a quote by MLK, which states, not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the Black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check, and we want y'all to come on to Washington when you get out of school. Now, he's talking about going to Washington to get reparations paid for the slave labor that was inflicted upon the Black people back when slavery was legal. Then to point two, it does resemble the slave times with the picture of them being transported and cotton balls to resemble that what they had to do, what they had to pick cotton and provide for the economy of America. Then it goes again, passes by the word ADOS because that is the group that is being represented. Then in point three, there is a jumpsuit behind bars with the rates for the incarceration rates for Black people and mainly Black men because they have the highest incarceration rates in America. And since prison life is very similar to slave labor due to the fact they hardly get paid anything, it's practically free labor within the prison system. So it's like another period of slavery for those in prison. And since Black people are the mainly Black men, are the ones who have the highest incarceration rate. It's like slavery all over again, but on a minor scale. Now, down to the final point is at a picture of Capitol Hill with a checkbook and a dollar sign, another picture of Martin Luther King, and a quote. Now, the reason why it's a picture of Capitol Hill is because they're going to Washington, and a checkbook and a dollar sign, because reparations is the money that they're owed to the ADOS community for all the slave labor that they did back in the day and built America. And the picture, MLK, is to resemble that he was a prominent figure in ADOS community, since he in fact is from ADOS lineage. And the quote comes from his last book, Where Do We Go Here? Where Do you go from here? Chaos or Community? And it states, a society that has done something against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him in order to equip him to compete on a just and equal basis. Now, my reason for making this collage the way it is because I myself am part of the ADOS community, and I felt like the message should be presented and known to others. Thank you for your time.
Today is never let down to rest, yet the past was the best. We live in a dark washed society, built on distress. But yes, we must get past this dark future we put on our path. We must join as one, else we'd split to nothing. For our relationships should last leading up to something. Nothing was made without the other. White or black, you are still my brother. Longer and longer our fights will come due. Fight for each other is what we should do. In the streets of our future filled with protests and protests, different people come to protest the same thing. We should conjoin and ask for change. Instead of prejudicial bloodbaths, we should be peacefully together. Tightly knit, we are a dove's feather.
Okay, so on my poster, I printed out different MLK pictures of him and different different quotes. I printed out, the time is always right to do what is right. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great, a burden to bear. You can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. Courage is the power of the mind to overcome fear. Let no man pull you low enough to hate him. And then I printed out two Black Lives Matter pictures, and then I wrote on the poster different powerful words: power, peace, fearless, unity, and human rights. Thank you.
Martin Luther Jr. was a king with a dream for everyone to live in peace and work as a team. It was kind and fought for what was right and believed we can do our part. Working and helping each other is a part of completing its plan. Fighting for equality, it was presented with many doors. A match in the door of greatness, not for fame, not for glory, because its greatness was determined by its service. It wanted us to see its dream of the beauty of equality. So it marched in the door of greatness with a clear head, intelligent, and ready for victory.
The title of my collage is Coming into Light. Items that I incorporated into this piece consist of colored pencils, yarn, pastels, images that I found online, and highlighters. The background behind my title goes along with the whole entire layout of my collage. As you can see, intertwined within the woman's hair on the left, show pictures of Martin Luther King in black and white, and the March on Washington, articles from that time period, so on. And then in the middle, it shows him speaking a quote that says, "Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed." And then as he speaks words that corresponds to freedom, the pictures slowly begin to come into light. Black Lives Matter was a movement that was started with the intentions of bringing justice.
And I know that if Martin Luther King were still here today, he would be fighting and marching for the social conflicts that were relevant then into now. Thank you.
Why do we racially profile each other? Why do we shout out racial slurs? Why do we stereotype each other? Why do we discriminate each other? Let's change why to when. When will we stop racially profiling each other? When will we stop shouting out racial slurs? When will we stop stereotyping each other? When will we stop discriminating each other? These are questions that others and I often ask. Why do we do these things? When will we stop? These are the main things that still separate us to this day. Why can't we just come together as one and love each other? If we had just two things, we could live in peace. Those two things are communication and understanding. Seems easy, right? It does, but it isn't that easy. The lack of communication and understanding is hindering us as a society. We still choose to live in a world of hate when we could live in a world of peace. People like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. spent all of their adulthood fighting for equal rights. In that time, we took a step forward. That time was in the 20th century. We're now in the 21st century, and it seems like we're regressing as a society instead of progressing. Now, I don't know how much things will change in the future, but if we continue to spread peace, I think that coming together as one might not be so difficult after all.
My project is called A Look Back to Move Ahead. I chose a few topics to display how things were in the past for Black people related to sports, politics, inventors, and equality in general versus how things are now, how they made progress. My project and the title represents the importance. The important it is to look back at where we used to be so we can celebrate our accomplishments, but also recognize that we need to continue to move ahead because there's more work needed to be done. So far as sports, I have Tiger Woods, famous boxer. I have Deontay Wilder. I have Serena Williams. So far as politics, I have Barack Obama, and I have the recent presidents. So far as inventors, I have Garrett Morgan and Philip Downing. And so far as inequality, I have black and white graduates, and yeah, that's it.
Character makes a person, not the color of their skin. Take lessons from MLK. Treat everyone as kin. He stood tall like a tree in the face of hate. He was always met with resistance. Even still to this day, we model his persistence. The man was a preacher, a family man, a father. He really was a teacher. Trying to spread peace, he was a martyr. We cannot solve the problem of hate if we continue to spread more hate. Show the correct way. We will be closer to peace each day. We keep on fighting each other like we are all brothers. A house divided by itself cannot stand. We must strive to make it a better land.
So in the middle, I have a drawing of Martin Luther King, and then around him, I have peace, dignity, justice, sincerity, equality, honesty, and courage. And little clouds showing him that's what his dream was. He wanted all of us to be in peace and all of us be equal. And then under it, I have quotes. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. A riot is the language of the unheard. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The time is always right to do what is right. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Free at last. Free at last. Thank God we are free at last. Uh, and then at the top, I have I had a dream. in bold words. That's all.
We are not makers of history. We are molded by it. We are shaped by it. Whether good or bad, we learn from it. We cannot make history until we realize that our actions do have an impact in the littlest ways. History is my story, his story, our story.
The name of my collage is Hunger and Starvation. I chose this title because it represents my collage as in hunger and starvation for equality. I decided to add two wolves with a Martin Luther King Jr. portrait I created myself, adding it in between. The wolves represent hunger and starvation, which in my opinion fit with my collage based on the topic given. I added a graduation cap with the words college at 15 and a quote from MLK saying, "Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." I painted the flag and added a quote board to the right, and I added pictures of Martin Luther King Jr. and 3 events where he was present: the bus boycott, which happened in 1956, the Civil Rights Act in 1964, Voting Rights Act in 65. I added the 2 recent events, the protest and the riot, as well as what happened last year and this year.
My poster's title is Years of Change. It's supposed to reflect the continuing civil rights movement of MLK's work. Over here in the back, I have posters behind MLK as he's giving his speech on Washington. They're also speaking some quotes that he said. Besides MLK, I have 2 figures of 2021 and 2022 as they look up to Martin's words. They also have a magazine cutout letters on a shirt which say, "We are the future." I'm sorry. I then have the Washington Monument covered in newspapers. I painted "No Justice, No Peace" on the and the Washington Monument is from the March on Washington, and the statement is from the 2020 BLM protests. I have BLM balloons flying by the Washington Monument in Pan-Africanism colors. I then have a figure over by the Washington Monument who has a megaphone with change written on it. The figure has a graduate cap in 2020 written over it. It symbolizes the protests in 2020 and the graduates who couldn't have a graduation, calling for change. And the figure is hands to represent unity as well, and people yelling at things such as "killed my," "this moment in time," "legend," and a quote from MLK, "I have a dream" speech. And that's pretty much it.